Truth, Justice, and DC News number 139 is coming right up. It's going to be an all blowhatch edition of DC News. We're going to talk about the death, then the undeath, and then the leaving of the creator who was supposed to do the death of John Stewart over in Green Lantern. We're also going to talk about the end of Suicide Squad for the current writer. We're going to bury the whole WTF concept, and we're going to wrap it all up with Andy Diggle saying goodbye to Action Comics after one issue. All that and more right after this.
Alternate Reality now opens at 10:30 instead of 11 on Sundays. It's like half an hour sleep over this. So you guys better show up.
When DC Comic Books does something, Bo just can't wait to tell you. Squealer.
All you can do is keep playing till somebody likes the show. DC Comic Book News, episode 139, The Bride of Bicklefist.
Hey folks, Comic Book Man here. Welcome once again to my video outhouse. Bo, what time is it?
I don't know.
Okay, DC News time.
There we go.
DC
Oh, okay,
News.
well, you didn't know.
It's coming in from this place, Alternate Reality. Located at the intersection of 111th and Kedzie in beautiful downtown Mount Greenwood. Alternate Reality, where all my new comics, especially my DC comics, are always 15% off every day for everyone. As I said at the top, this is a blowhatch edition of DC Comics News, and we're going to start off with, they're blowing the hatch on John Stewart. They're putting him in the wood chipper. They're getting rid of him. They're killing him. They're giving him. They're robbing him. They're dating him up. No.
DC had announced the new writers on Green Lantern. One of the guys, Joshua Hale Fialkov,
Yes.
is going to do Green Lantern Corps and Red Lanterns. Okay, he was supposed to start in June.
Okay.
He left the books
Why?
due to editorial disagreements. First, there was a rumor he left the books.
What was the
Then it was
disagreement?
confirmed he left the books. He left the books because DC editorial walked up to him and said, "We want you to kill John Stewart."
And he said,
"I don't want to kill John Stewart.
I like John Stewart.
I like John Stewart, and even though this is going to cost me some money, I'd rather not work on the books." Now DC recovered. They got Van Jensen, who's writing something called Pinocchio the Vampire Slayer. Robert Venditti.
Oh yeah, Pinocchio the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah,
Okay,
Robert
I know that.
Venditti.
I would have figured that one out.
Who was going to write Constantine. They're going to take over Green Lantern Corps, and the brand new Swamp Thing writer, Charles Soule, he will take over Red Lanterns. Now DC, since this is broken,
Yes.
the story broke like on Tuesday. On Wednesday,
Our time
revealed what was going on. By Friday, DC went way out of the way to go, "We had no plans whatsoever to kill off John Stewart. We don't even know where this story came from."
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, meanwhile, Fialkov basically said, "No, you want to kill John Stewart."
Meanwhile, during the 3 to 4 days that the story was out there, the internet got burned down.
Oh my God! Twitter was very active.
Well, what do? You take the highest profile African American character in the DC universe, and you say, "Hey, we're gonna kill him." What the hell? It seems to work for everybody.
Yeah, this is your first arc. Now they said Fialkov's plans for both these books was he's basically a crime writer. He was going to introduce a crime sensibility to the concept because the Green Lantern Corps are cops.
Yeah, well, Corps.
They're basically space cops.
Well, yeah, that's not a new concept.
Yeah.
That's been run by the Green Lantern Corps before. I mean,
Yeah.
hell, in Final Crisis, a lot of Final Crisis with the Green Lanterns is a procedural. Who killed Orion, and now we got to figure out who did it, and it's parts of it are real police procedural.
Yeah,
that Morrison did.
His major focus for both those books was going to be Guy Gardner. He's going to be a big part of both books.
Well, apparently not John Stewart because they were going to kill
Well, they
him.
were going to bump him off, and I guess
So
the
there
guy
you
was
go.
going to find out why he got killed. I don't know.
Okay. Speaking of blowing hatch,
This happened first. This is what kind of week it's not been a good week for DC.
Andy Diggle is the new writer on Action Comics.
For a whole issue. He left the book after his first issue. Now remember, Grant Morrison's last issue shipped this week, 18.
Were they going to kill Superman again?
Well, Diggle hasn't explained exactly why he left, but he said it was
Yes.
due to editorial interference.
Make him gay? Was that
Who knows what it was? Diggle had basically...
No, he has a movie coming out. He's not going to go gay.
Yeah, he won't go gay. But Diggle had his first 6 issues plotted out. He had already talked about his second six issues. He'd been in the comic book press talking about what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then the rumor popped up like last Friday, our time, that Diggle was walking away. Then by the time Monday rolled around, Diggle more or less posted on Twitter, "Yeah, I'm leaving." He said, "I really don't want to leave, but I'm leaving." So
Walking out the door.
So Tony Daniel, who's going to be the new artist in the book, he will finish up and he will write the other 5 issues of Diggle's first arc. But then Tony Daniel's leaving the book with 21, so that means when 22 rolls around, DC's got to find a new team for Action Comics.
Okay, wait
so
a
you,
second.
so you got a new team for 6 issues.
Wait a second. About a month and a half ago, our time.
Yes.
Didn't DC have some sort of editorial meeting someplace where they talked about, you know, because a lot of creators, writers specifically, but artists too, were bitching about all the editorial interference on books. And wasn't the upshoot of that, DC said we're not going to do that anymore?
Supposedly, at the last day of the summit, which took place in North Carolina, Dan DiDio apologized to everyone. According to someone who talked to Rich Johnson at Bleeding Cool, that edict lasted a whole 4 days. 4 whole days before they start telling writers what to do.
There you go.
So, and Falkov is landing on his feet because he wandered over to Marvel. He's going to be the new writer on Ultimate Comics Ultimates.
You know, that's that's where Marvel gets most of their talent. It's from people who leave DC.
Little DC guys.
Hey, here we just got another one.
Yeah. And what's interesting about this is when Diggle posted on Twitter he was leaving the book, there were so many comic creators. Rob Liefeld went, "Hey, it happened to you too. Join the club." Nick Spencer. Nick Spencer said, "Oh yeah, it happened to me with Supergirl." In fact, a couple of days later, Spencer said, "Well, why don't I tell you what I was going to do on Supergirl before I lasted one whole issue, before they annoyed the hell out of me, and I left that book."
Okay. Over on Suicide Squad, there's more creative changes coming up with that. They're losing their writer,
Adam Glass.
Adam Glass. He's leaving.
Adam Glass is leaving Suicide Squad with number 19. That's a special gatefold cover, and he will be replaced by Change's Alex Cott. His first issue will eliminate most. The last issue from Glass is going to kill most of the team. If you've seen the cover's floating around the internet. It's a whole bunch of people getting shot. Great. Patrick Zurcher, by the way, is also leaving Shadowman to take over as artist, and so they got a brand new team starting with 20.
Okay. Any reason why he's leaving?
Zurcher's leaving. Leaving.
Contract up. Tired of working on the book.
Glass had been working on Suicide Squad for a while. DC has gotten into this relatively interesting habit of looking for guys who are starting out at Image, who haven't built up really, really big names, and bringing them over to DC because, since they're new writers coming into a bigger company, they can tell them to do stuff, and those writers usually go, "Yeah, okay." Mainstream writers usually go, "Screw you, I'm leaving."
Well, there you go. Okay. And the last story we have, we're blowing hatch on the whole WTF concept over at DC. Remember WTF? About last month in the previews catalog, big deal. WTF was splattered over all the books. Gatefold.
Yeah, the logo. Yeah, they had a logo and everything.
Yeah, WTF logo is oval shapes. A WTF on it. It'll be slapped on all the books in June.
And next month's books, the April books. The books that are coming next month.
And they're all going to have gatefold covers. And you open up the gatefold, and something amazing is going to be there. It's going to make you say, WTF!
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the Batman cover, it's Bruce Wayne holding a gun. When you flip it over, he's holding a gun on James Gordon. You know, so there's a whole bunch of this stuff going on. I think
WTF!
For one book, you got the return of Big Barda and Mr. Miracle. Well, it started out as holy crap covers. Then it turned into what the F covers. Then when they got to the Comics Pro Retailer Summit, DC said, no, this stood for what the 52. That's what it meant. Oh. Then finally, someone at Warner's went, no.
It's not standing for anything.
It stands for nothing. You paid for the logo. It's not on any of the books. It's been pulled. Kind of like the first Constantine #1 ship this week.
Yeah.
You know, if you saw the original cover of Constantine, yes. He's smoking a cigarette. Is he smoking a cigarette on the cover of this image?
On the variant cover, he is. Not on the main cover that they shipped. The main cover that they shipped, and I think they did a flip on it. The cover that everyone's seen, where he's sitting with his back hunched up against
the tombstone.
Against the tombstone.
There's a zombie behind him, and he's smoking a cigarette.
He's smoking. That is the variant, and
that was supposed to be the main cover.
The regular cover's got him doing some mystical stuff with a pentagram shooting out of his hands. And
so someone at corporate went, you can't smoke on the cover.
Yeah.
So clarify, these books are coming out. They're just not coming out under the banner of WTF.
That WTF logo will no longer be seen.
They'll
still be gatefold covers. It's easy.
Shock me.
It's easy to take the logo off of the book.
Yeah.
You know, but you can't change the cover. But it's easy to take the logo off the thing. And what's interesting about those covers is that the artists who worked on those covers, speaking of editorial interference, they worked on those covers. Those covers were turned in, and on some of the books, the writers found out these surprises by looking at the covers, not by something they came up with on their own.
So the writers don't incorporate the stuff in the book?
The writers had to incorporate it in the stories because the cover said, this is what your story is, work around it.
Oh, okay. Tail wagging the dog. Okay, and that's it. We're done. Finish out of here. Got no more DC news. Go to the store's website. Check out all the DC news this man sends me, and I post up there. Boo!
What the F?
Alright, Queen of Redundancy here. www.myalternatereality.com.
So stop off at the store's website, check out all of his news, and until next time, this is Comic Book Man.
This is someone who never worked for DC, Bo.
Apparently. Saying bye!
The Video Outhouse is brought to you by some of the finest people willing to work for free. This is a list of some of them.